March 16, 2004, London. The Ritz Club. This is not your average gambling hall. This is the playground of the global elite, a place where billionaires, diplomats, and royalty come to lose fortunes under the soft glow of crystal chandeliers. Security here is absolute. Cameras cover every inch of red velvet. The dealers are the best in Europe. The pit bosses are trained to spot a card counter from across the room. It is a fortress disguised as a palace. But on this Tuesday night, 3 strangers walk through the gilded doors. A Hungarian woman and 2 Serbian men. They don't look like master criminals. They look like boring, ordinary tourists. They don't carry guns. They don't carry explosives. They walk straight to the roulette table, the one game that mathematicians have sworn for centuries is unbeatable. The game of pure chance. But these 3 strangers aren't playing a game of chance. They are playing a game of physics. Over the next 48 hours, right under the noses of the security team, they execute one of the most sophisticated attacks in gambling history. They don't touch the wheel. They don't bribe the dealer. Instead, they use a device straight out of a science fiction movie, a laser scanner hidden on their bodies, connected to a computer that is calculating the velocity of the ball in real time. By the time the casino realizes what is happening, the trio has walked away with £1.3 million. They hacked reality itself. In the most terrifying part for the casino owners, according to the laws of the United Kingdom, they might not have technically committed a crime. To understand the threat, you first have to look at the leader. His name is Niko Tosa. If you saw him on the street, you wouldn't look twice. He doesn't wear flashy gold watches. He doesn't drive a loud Ferrari. He dresses like a mid-level accountant or a quiet businessman. But inside the casino, Tosa transforms. While other players are drinking champagne, cheering at every spin, and chasing their losses with emotion, Tosa sits like a statue. He doesn't drink alcohol. He barely speaks. He sits at the roulette table with a focus that is almost robotic. His eyes never leave the wheel. He isn't watching the players. He isn't watching the chips. He is watching the ball. He didn't come alone. He is accompanied by 2 associates. One is a Serbian man, Nenad Marjanovic. The other is a Hungarian woman, Livia Polisi. The woman acts as the bank. She holds the chips. She handles the cash outs. Her job is to look glamorous and distract the dealers. The men are the operators. Security footage from the Ritz would later show their peculiar behavior. They weren't betting like normal gamblers. A normal gambler has a lucky number. They bet on their birthday, or they bet on red because they feel it. Tosa and his team waited. They waited for the dealer to spin the wheel. They waited for the dealer to throw the ball. And then, in the frantic few seconds before the dealer calls no more bets, they would strike. They wouldn't place a single chip on a single number. Instead, they covered a specific sector of the wheel, a group of neighboring numbers. To the casual observer, it looked like a frantic, last-minute gamble. But to the trained eye of the pit boss, it looked suspicious. They were betting late, consistently late, and they were winning, consistently winning. These weren't lucky tourists. Niko Tosa is a legend in the underground world of advantage play. He comes from a background of applied mathematics and physics. He realized what Isaac Newton realized 300 years ago: roulette is not a game of chance. It is a game of motion. A ball spinning in a bowl is subject to the laws of gravity, friction, and air resistance. And if it follows the laws of physics, it can be predicted. Tosa wasn't gambling. He was working, and he had brought the perfect tool for the job. Let's break down the science of the heist. To the average player, a roulette wheel is a chaos engine. A ball spins one way, the wheel spins the other. It bounces off diamond-shaped deflectors. It seems impossible to predict. Einstein once famously said, "The only way to beat roulette is to steal money when the dealer isn't looking." But Niko Tosa knew that Einstein was wrong. Roulette is not random. It is deterministic. Think of the ball like a satellite orbiting the Earth. Eventually, gravity and friction will force that satellite to crash. If you know the speed of the satellite and the rotation of the Earth, you can predict roughly where the crash site will be. This is called sector targeting. You don't need to predict the exact number. That is impossible. You just need to predict the area of the wheel where the ball will drop. If you can eliminate 2/3 of the wheel, the odds shift massively in your favor. But the human brain cannot calculate the velocity of a spinning ball in real time. The math is too fast. That is why Tosa brought a computer. Hidden inside a modified mobile phone, likely an old Samsung or Nokia model, was a laser scanner and a timing device. The method works like this: as the dealer releases the ball, Tosa clicks a button. The laser, invisible to the naked eye or disguised as a simple sensor, measures the time it takes for the ball to complete one revolution. Click, 1 revolution. Click, 2 revolutions. That data is fed instantly into a microchip. The software calculates the decay rate, how fast the ball is slowing down due to friction. It compares this to the speed of the rotor, the spinning wheel itself. In a split second, the phone vibrates. It sends a signal to Tosa. Perhaps a short buzz means upper sector, a long buzz means lower sector. Or, according to some reports, the phone would display a grouping of 3 numbers on its screen. For example, 0, 3, 26. Tosa receives the signal. He has about 3 seconds before the dealer waves his hand and says no more bets. In those 3 seconds, he and his team flood that specific sector of the betting layout with chips. They bet on the neighbors. Normally, the house has a 2.7% edge over the player, but with this device, Tosa flipped the math upside down. He achieved an edge of roughly 15% over the house. In the world of gambling, a 15% edge isn't just an advantage, it is a license to print money. The operation begins on the night of March 15th. It is a surgical strike. Tosa and his team don't run around the casino. They stay at one table, the European roulette wheel. To the dealers, they seem like the perfect customers. Quiet, polite, but beneath the surface, they are extracting cash at an industrial rate. Spin after spin, the routine is identical. The dealer spins, Tosa tracks, the phone vibrates, they bet. They don't win every single hand, that would be too obvious, but they win the big ones, the ones that matter. £10,000 payouts, £30,000 payouts. The stack of chips in front of Livia Pilisi begins to grow. It turns into a tower, then a fortress. By the end of the first night, they are up £100,000. A significant loss for the house, but not a disaster. High rollers get lucky sometimes. The Ritz management watches them leave. They assume the lucky streak will end tomorrow. They were wrong. March 16th, the team returns, and this time, they aren't testing the system. They are exploiting it. They increase their bets to the maximum limit. The atmosphere in the private room shifts. The air gets heavy. Dealers start to sweat. They look nervously at the pit bosses standing behind them. Enter the pit boss. In a casino, the pit boss is the first line of defense. He is the shepherd, and the players are the sheep. He notices something off about Tosa. Most gamblers stare at the table layout, agonizing over where to place their chips. Tosa doesn't look at the layout. He looks at the wheel, constantly, and just before he bets, he pauses. A split-second delay, as if he is waiting for a command. Up in the security room, the surveillance team is zooming in. Look at his timing, one officer says. He bets at the exact same moment the ball passes the green 0. They check the wheel for defects. Nothing. They check the dealer for collusion. Nothing. They check the chips for counterfeits. Nothing. The system is invisible. By midnight on the second day, the chip count hits an astronomical number, £1.3 million. That is roughly $2.4 million today. The casino manager makes a call, not to the owner, but to the basement office of the Ritz Hotel security. They are not lucky, he says. They are cheating. Stop them. The call goes out to Scotland Yard, specifically to the flying squad, the elite unit responsible for tackling organized crime and armed robbery. Within minutes, the Ritz Club is swarming with undercover officers. They watch Tosa. They watch the woman. They gather the evidence. Then, the trap snaps shut. As the trio attempts to cash out their chips and leave the building, they are surrounded. Police, stay where you are. There is no chasing, no dramatic shootout. Tosa doesn't run. He simply adjusts his glasses and surrenders with a terrifying calmness. The investigation moves from the casino floor to their hotel rooms. Police raid the suites. They tear the room apart. They look for marked cards, magnetic devices, or inside information. What they find confirms their worst fears. Stacks of cash, £1.3 million in bundles, in the smoking gun, mobile phones, in a laptop computer. But these weren't ordinary phones. When forensic experts opened them up, they found the secret. The phones had been gutted. The camera lenses were modified. The internal processors were overclocked. These were not communication devices. They were ballistic calculators. The police had everything they needed. They had the suspects. They had the money. They had the weapon. Niko Tosa, Nenad Marjanovic, and Livia Polisi were formally arrested. They were charged with obtaining money by deception. Section 15 of the Theft Act, a serious crime that carries a lengthy prison sentence. In the interrogation room, the police expected a confession. They expected the gang to turn on each other. But Tosa remained silent. He sat in the metal chair, staring blankly at the detectives. He knew something they didn't. He knew the law better than the police did. The trio sat in jail. Their bail was set. The police confiscated their passports. The tabloids were ready to print the headlines. The great casino robbery foiled. The Ritz Club lawyers were preparing to sue them for every penny they had. It seemed like an open and shut case, but then the investigation hit a wall made of paper. The Crown Prosecution Service, the agency responsible for prosecuting crimes in the UK, began to review the evidence. They brought in their own experts to test Tosa's equipment. They set up a roulette wheel in a police lab. They spun the ball. They used the modified phones. The results were terrifyingly accurate. The device worked. It wasn't a scam. It was a masterpiece of engineering. But proving the device worked was the easy part. Proving it was illegal, that was the nightmare. The prosecutors opened the law books. They dusted off the Gaming Act of 1845. This was a law written when Queen Victoria was on the throne. A law written before lasers, before microchips, before electricity was even in common use. They looked for the definition of cheating. According to the statute, cheating is defined as interfering with the game. Interference means physical contact. If Tosa had used a magnet to pull the ball into a pocket, illegal. If he had bribed the dealer to spin slowly, illegal. If he had climbed onto the table and stopped the wheel with his hand, illegal. But Tosa hadn't touched anything. His lawyer presented a brilliant, infuriating argument. My client simply looked at the wheel. He observed the wheel. Is it illegal to observe? Is it illegal to think? Is it illegal to do math in your head? The prosecution argued, but he used a computer. He used a laser. The defense countered, the laser is just an extension of the eye. The computer is just an extension of the brain. He used technology to process information that was publicly available to everyone standing at that table. It became a philosophical crisis. If you are smart enough to count cards in blackjack, the casino can ban you, but they cannot arrest you. It's a skill. Tosa argued that sector targeting was just a skill assisted by technology. He hadn't altered the outcome of the game. He had simply predicted it. He didn't force the ball to land on red 32. He just knew it would land there before anyone else did. For months, the case bounced between detectives and lawyers. The Ritz Club was furious. They demanded justice. They demanded their £1.3 million back. But the law is rigid. You cannot prosecute a crime that doesn't exist in the statutes. There was no law in 1845, or even in 2004, that specifically banned the use of electronic aids in a casino. It was a loophole the size of a truck. On December 2, 2004, 9 months after the heist, Scotland Yard issued a statement. It was brief, dry, and shocking. We have advised the Ritz Club that there is no realistic prospect of conviction. Translation, we know they did it. We know how they did it, but we can't touch them. The charges were dropped, the passports were returned, and most painfully of all for the Ritz Club, the police had to hand back the money, every single pound. Niko Tosa didn't just beat the house odds, he beat the British Empire. He walked out of the police station a free man, a millionaire, and a legend. He had committed the perfect crime, the one that wasn't a crime at all. The Ritz Club heist didn't just cost one casino £1.3 million. It sent a shockwave through the entire global gambling industry. It was a wake-up call. Casinos realized that the era of gentlemen's agreements and analog security was over. They were no longer fighting lucky tourists. They were fighting the cutting edge of technology. The British government moved quickly to plug the leak. In 2005, a new gambling act was passed. This time, the lawmakers didn't leave any room for philosophical debate. Section 42 of the act made it explicitly illegal to use any external device to analyze a game or calculate odds. The loophole that Tosa had driven a truck through a sealed shut with concrete. Today, if you walk into a London casino with a laser scanner, you won't get your money back. You will go to prison. As for the Ritz Club, it never fully recovered its reputation for invincibility. Ironically, the club closed its doors permanently in 2020, a victim of the pandemic and changing economic tides. The fortress eventually fell, not to a laser, but to the world changing around it. And what of Niko Tosa? Like any good magician, once the trick was performed, he vanished. He didn't write a book. He didn't go on talk shows. He didn't sell his story to Hollywood. He took his winnings and disappeared into the shadows of Eastern Europe. But legends don't die easily. In the years since, there have been rumors, sightings of a quiet, intense man matching his description in casinos from Nairobi to Monte Carlo. Some say he retired. Others say he is still out there, testing new devices, finding new edges, always one step ahead of the security updates. He has become a ghost story that pit bosses tell rookie dealers, the bogeyman who can see the future of the ball. The story of the laser roulette heist is more than just a crime story. It is a story about the limit of human control. Casinos are built on the idea that they control the math, that the laws of probability are a cage that no player can escape. Niko Tosa proved that there is no cage that cannot be broken if you have the right key. He showed us that the house edge is just a number, and numbers can be recalculated. Technology moves fast, the laws move slow, and in that gap between the speed of innovation and the speed of regulation, there will always be people like Tosa, watching, waiting, calculating. So the next time you see a roulette wheel spinning, look closely. Is it chaos? Or is it just a physics equation that you haven't solved yet? Maybe the house doesn't always win. Maybe the house just hasn't met the right player yet.